Today's video is a little difficult to share because it's so personal, but I know that a lot of you out there share the same struggles, so I'm gonna swallow my pride and put it out here anyway in hopes that it helps some of you, at least in some way. Before my ADHD diagnosis, I thought I was just mentally defective, like something was wrong with my brain, but not on a level that I felt like I could seek help. Almost like there wasn't any help for me. You know what I mean? But several months ago, I decided to seek help, and it was the best thing I could have done. Today, I want to share with you 3 ways that I dealt with my ADHD in my everyday Etsy operations. Before you think this video isn't for you, you might not have ADHD, but you might have an issue with some of the things that ADHDers have. So, for instance, you might have poor organization skills. You might have avoidance issues. You might still struggle with focus. That doesn't mean that you have ADHD. It's a particular cocktail of things that happen to cause that diagnosis. But these are all still things that many of you deal with. Welcome to Cha-Ching. My name is Terry. I'll be your guide through the Etsy maze and your partner in crime, all things small business. With over a decade of experience on Etsy and 2 decades of experience as a small business owner, I'm here to bring some order to this craziness. All my life, I've been awkward, and I've had social struggles. That's how I ended up in business for myself. It was a way for me to be able to control those interactions better. Then when Etsy came along, it was like a godsend. I could hide behind my computer and not have to deal with anybody face to face. It seemed perfect. Until I started to struggle with the effects that this kind of environment has on ADHD. For starters, I had trouble staying on task. There was no boss hanging around me to make sure that I got everything done. I also tended to bounce from project to project, unable to stay focused on just one task. I would spend a ton of time creating new products when I hadn't finished other creations or perfected them. Procrastination was my worst enemy. I would find myself staying up late the night before an order was due. And at that point in time, I had a 2 to 4 week production time. Plenty of time to get these orders done, yet I would still be up the night before. And don't even get me started on keeping track of the books. It was non-existent. Avoidance is another big trait of ADHD. And we tend to avoid things that we dislike doing. Well, most of us are creative, and the bookwork just stinks. The worst thing was working on things that really didn't matter to avoid working on the things that would actually advance my shop. Fast forward to a few months ago when I found out that I had a significant tax issue because I avoided dealing with it. All I had to do was turn in some reports and prove that I didn't owe the taxes, and I did not do it. And I cannot explain to you why I didn't do it. It was at that point in time that I decided I needed some help. The journey to seek help has been life-changing, so much so that I have really been reflecting on how I've made it all of these years without it. So I pinpointed 3 things that I'm going to share with you now. Number 1 is time management techniques. I did realize that I needed to make myself do the things that I needed to do. And I also realized that a regular schedule really seemed to help a lot. For that part of things, time blocking was a lifesaver. I created blocks of time that I would only work on, say, customer service. Another block of time that I would work on fulfilling orders or production. Another block of time for social media, and so on. It was important that the schedule stayed the same every day, with the exception of Friday. And Friday was the day that I didn't do all of that regular stuff. I allowed myself a full day of creativity. So that was my product development. I live to create. That day was like a reward for all of my hard work. If I stayed on track all week, I could do that one day. From time to time, I would fall out of time blocking and everything would go haywire for a little bit, but then I would put myself back on track and everything would go back to normal. The key is to do this time blocking enough times to where you don't have to think about it or focus on it. You create a time blocking schedule, you stick to it. You really do have to focus on it a little bit to get it going. But it's like with any habit, after you do it for a certain length of time, then it becomes something you don't have to think about every time you do it. When time blocking fails me, I use the Pomodoro technique, which is arguably a little bit like time blocking, except it involves a timer. I have adjusted this technique to where it fits my needs, but the gist is still the same. When I don't want to do something, I give myself a set amount of time to get it done in, set a timer, and work on just that until the timer goes off. The Pomodoro method is defined as a short time interval during which you work on what you intended to work on and only what you intended to work on until the timer goes off, at which point you take a break. I got this definition from a YouTube channel called How to ADHD. I'm going to link that video below. It's only about maybe 3.5, 4 minutes long. It's worth the watch, and it will really explain how to use the Pomodoro technique with ADHD. The Pomodoro technique is set on 25-minute intervals, but I actually changed it for myself. I need to be working on something for an hour to really get anything done without any interruption. So working on something for 25 minutes would take me 10 or 15 minutes just to get into the mode of working on it. And then I only have really another 10 minutes of solid work. Then the timer goes off and then I feel interrupted. So I find that if I can set that timer for an hour, that works for me. It's going to be different for you. If you have poor time organization skills, this technique could really help you because you might just need that structure. The last technique is just a 5-minute rule. This is for the things that I really hate doing, okay? Like we go back to the book work. I hate doing the book work. And obviously with tax issues, I cannot afford to not do the book work. So what you do is you tell yourself that you're going to do something for just 5 minutes. You just have to make yourself do it for 5 minutes. And then a lot of times what happens is you get into it for that 5 minutes and then you keep going and you get a lot more done. But even if you stopped after 5 minutes, take a break and make yourself go for 5 more minutes. It's kind of like a mini Pomodoro technique. It's just a way to sort of trick your brain. And a lot of ADHD management is that, tricking your brain in order to do what normal people do. Most people can just work on something hard. When you have ADHD or poor time management skills in general, you cannot hardly make yourself do things. So you trick your brain. Number 2 in helping your ADHD is having an accountability partner. Early on in my Etsy business, I met a lady who would eventually become my best friend. But it didn't start out that way. It started out as purely a business relationship. I made tutus. She made shirts. I didn't have any of the equipment to do the shirts and I wanted to make cute little sets. So I reached out to her and we began to work together. We worked really well together and I found that she was a lot like me. This is the point in my journey that I can look back and say that without a doubt, having someone to hold me accountable has made the difference between success and failure in my life. We would meet at a little local restaurant once a week and set goals together. She would tell me her goals, I would tell her my goals, and what a difference that makes when you know that you're going to have to go back next week and tell that person, I did do what I said I was going to do, or I didn't do what I said I was going to do. And I'm also a little bit competitive, so I didn't want to go back and have her tell me she did her thing and I didn't do my thing. So having her to hold me accountable was amazing. So get yourself an accountability partner. You might already have someone in your life that you know. Maybe it's not a fellow Etsy seller like I had, but you might just have a really good friend that you could ask her to sit down with you once a week, and you could do the same in return to her. Maybe she has personal goals or things that she wants to set, and you two could work together to make sure that you get things done. This really does a lot to help you move forward, especially when you feel stuck. If you don't have a friend or someone close in your life that you feel like will do this, it's perfectly acceptable to get someone online. I'm going to drop the link to our Facebook group down below, and you can go join that Facebook group. And in the group, I will make a post specifically for seeking accountability partners. Even if you just get on there and you say to the universe, to all of the people in the group, it's a private group so that the rest of the world is not going to see it. You can just say, this is what I'm going to do this week. And then next week, you need to come back and say if you did it or not. The third thing that really helped me deal with my ADHD was being spiritually centered. This one might be a little bit of a surprise to some of you. Whether you believe in a higher power or meditation or whatever it is, it's important that we are able to come back to center. ADHD has us feeling like we're all over the place. Poor time management, procrastination, all of that can make us just feel very mixed up. For me, it's God. I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ. Believe in the power of prayer. I use the Word of God to help guide me. Where are my Proverbs 31 women at? Leave a comment below. It's such a relief to me to not have to face this alone. I tell God my plans. I ask Him for guidance and direction, and I go to Him when I'm upset, and sometimes I just rest in Him. It would take me years to tell you all of the miracles that I have experienced from this. I won't go on and on about this because I do realize that some of us have different beliefs. But I do think it's important to grow spiritually, to lean on it and to lean into it. Make that the first part of your day every day. I pray every morning and I read a chapter of the Bible, and when I miss that, it feels like my whole day is messed up. It seems like I'm a lot more scattered. I hope that you found this helpful. If you feel like you do have ADHD and haven't sought help yet, don't wait. If you're young, don't wait until you're older. And if you're older like me, it's not too late. There is no shame in knowing that you need help. Make sure that you hit the like button. And if you liked this content, subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when new content is uploaded. So until next time, see you later, alligator.